We have Brigitte first. Thank you. If you just come up to the table and, and Dr. Grant. Okay. So is it two separate presentations? Cool. Thank you. And if you just, when you're speaking, there's a talk button, and when you're not speaking, if you just turn it off. So
sounds good.
You just have 5 minutes for the presentation, and then we'll have some questions. We will ding you with a little bell at 5 minutes, just so you know, and then if you just round up to an appropriate time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kia ora, Mr. Chair and councillors. It's an honour to be here today to be presenting to you about Gwelin 2030, which is a transition town, part of an international movement. It was started in 2008, and Councillor Pipakum actually was started this organisation as well, which is really fantastic. In 2008, we celebrated our 10th anniversary and published a little book, which was also supported by Waitemata Council, Waitemata Local Board. So I might as well go into the slide. This little book is also available on the internet when you go through the International Transition Town. A little bit about the organisation to start with. There is the trust, and many groups came out of this, and most of them are now self-governed and have their own board. As you can also see, there's very much like a leaning towards the right about waste. So we have many organisations and many groups that are concerned about waste minimisation. We've done, as you can see also in the book, if you happen to be able to read this, is that we have many activities and projects that concern themselves with waste minimisation, in particular with plastic. So today I would like to share with you a new project that we are currently preparing, which is called the Cup Project. And it really concerns itself, is focused on the elimination of single-use cups. And it's a community-led project, working with resources that are already available. So we are engaging community groups, schools, and local cafes in Gwelin, collecting jars that have the right size for New Zealand standard coffees, and then making them into little cups like these. This is a small coffee. This is a medium coffee. So and we just had a barista training to teach people how to do this, and it's just really awesome. So they are koha cups. We give them away to people. But the idea is really to start a conversation over a cup of coffee about climate change. So that's what we're inviting. Let's get to the next slide. The approach is an 8-week feasibility study. The launch is on the 22nd of March, which is Sunday week, at the Gwelin Farmers Market. And we're 6 participating cafes will be delivered those beautiful cups, and people will start hopefully using them. And it's a recycling and a circular system. So we are expecting people to bring them back. They get cleaned by the cafe and they receive a clean jar, but they can keep the little cup holder or heat band. We also offer workshops during this 8-week period, because it's not only about repurposing and upcycling, it's also about reskilling, upskilling people. So we're teaching people how to crochet, how to sew, and a lot of young people are really interested in learning these skills. So it's a lot of working on multiple levels, really. We will also write a report, so we collect data from the cafes to see, what is a single-use cup use, and then koha cups, returned koha cups, and keep cups. So we'll have some data to present and write the report, and would like to deliver the report to you as well, and various other organizations, and hopefully the Ministry for the Environment as well, and just start a conversation. Then the whole background of this to run a feasibility study is the idea of introducing, creating a template which can be then adopted by other organizations and other communities. And we've already gained quite a bit of interest, for other people to take this on. And that's the exciting part, I think, So at the moment, we are just working with 4 schools, making these, and community as well. And they take a little bit of time, but, this is the idea also. We care about, we care about the environment, we care about you, and we give this to you, so please treat it well. So this is all about behavior change, really. That's another background in this, So just introducing something that people enjoy, they can get involved, in any way they wish, and then change their practices. So we create a map, and it's going to be like an app. So, oopsie-doo. What is it? Is that 5 minutes?
Yep. Just
You don't have to rush. You can just
Yeah, that's
up.
very quick. So basically saying, this is the launch, and we have a map, where we can add if cafes or schools or other organizations take part in it. And we really thank you, for this opportunity to let you know about this. So thank you very much.
would you like me to pass this one in this direction? You
Yeah,
pass
okay.
that one in this direction.
That's a great idea.
Cool, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Brigitte. I think first question we have is from Councillor Stewart.
Thank you. I have got a question, but I want to say that is a wonderful initiative, but I just wonder whether the timing isn't really, really good at the moment because of the coronavirus. I just note that a lot of cafes around the country are no longer accepting reusable cups due to coronavirus fears. So I'm just wondering whether your promotion, it might be better to leave it for a little bit later and wait until we get through this coronavirus before you start. I just, because I think it's a wonderful initiative. I think it's really a wonderful initiative, but like all things, timing is everything. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, we've been thinking about it as well.
Yes,
and I just saw a from the Ministry of Health spokesperson saying that it's fine to accept keep cups. So there was a release yesterday, so that's fine. And also, as I mentioned, the person who will return the cup, this will get sterilized, and they'll receive a new one, a fresh one, which is sterilized by the cafe. So that's how we try to work this.
At the moment, they're not accepting them. So
yeah, McDonald's is not, and Starbucks aren't. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Henderson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just to commend you guys. It's brilliant. Any project that allows people to reflect upon their climate impacts is a great thing. How do we evaluate success with this? How do we come back in a year and see that they are being reused?
Well, that's what I mentioned. We keep statistics. Each cafe will record, like every week, how many cups have been used and reused. And returned, exactly. Yeah. And we have 3 follow-ups, 3 months follow-ups as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I don't think there are any other... Councillor Simpson.
So do individuals keep the outside and just... because the outside is
the heat band or the cup holder?
Yeah. So does an individual keep that bit? You wouldn't... Because how does that get keep washed and cleaned?
Well, they can wash this themselves.
Oh, okay. So that's... So you actually keep your own bit, or do you pull that back as well?
Sorry?
So when you keep your... When you
Yeah.
return it
Yeah.
and it gets sterilised, do you return the outside that you... Both things, or do you keep the outside for yourself?
You keep this, and then your cup can be placed in that.
Right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any last questions, members? Perfect. Pippa, would you like to move? Now, thank you very much. I think that's a very tangible, clear thing,
Exactly.
Project about reducing waste, but I also love that you're thinking wider, that it can be something bite-sizable that other communities can pick up without having to do all the background work and everything. So that's, very sustainable approach. So thank you very much for coming in, and thanks for your emails. And sorry I can't make the 22nd, but hopefully if other members of the committee are around, that they will try and come and partake in the celebration. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those in favour? Thank you. And to the Waitemata Low Carbon Network. Oh, right. And just before, we've got a photographer from Stuff, just if you're wondering what was going on. But Suad has just let me know to let you know that is who is taking photos. So thank you. Thank you. Cool. And Grant, yeah.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to speak today, and thank you, councillors, for that opportunity as well. So I'm going to speak in support of Te Taureki Tawhiri, your climate action framework, and commend you all on having, and your officers, on having this being brought back quite early in the year. I know that sometimes these documents can take a while to process, and they must have been working very hard over summer to bring all of this to you back. So I really commend you on moving this through as quickly as possible. I just wanted to highlight some of the kind of feedback that you're getting from the consultation that you've done, and just and reinforce, I suppose, that and commend you for taking as strong as actions as you can. And I think the project that we just looked at about Keep Cups, you're right, Councillor Henderson, you know, sometimes climate change is this huge thing out there, and what can I do? How can I connect with it? What does it mean to me? Sometimes bringing it back as simple as, we all love a coffee. How can we be more sustainable about the way we have our coffee? How can we make our coffee cups and recycle materials is kind of part of the thinking, the circular economy thinking, those things which can come right back down to me as an individual making some choices and doing something that's positive in that regard. So that's why we wanted to kind of share that with you as well today. In terms of the summary documents and the consultation that you've received, we were involved quite a bit in the groups and various organisations, particularly at a community level, engage in the document and provide consultation, particularly the Auckland University Equal Justice Project. They apologise they couldn't be here today. We're really excited to be involved in the work that you do and the thinking that you do at the level of input. And they're really pleased with the kind of feedback and that it reflects a lot of the concerns that they raised. So what are some of those sort of key theme feedbacks? Well, I think the main one that came through is climate change has become so important to us that we do need to treat it with the real urgency that it requires. And there's a reflection of that in the consultation, but it's something you've got to carry forward into this document and probably into, I'd suggest, all of your work. We also need to scale up actions and commend the budget in terms of its focus on EV, its focus on progressing buses away from diesel to electric, to growing more trees, to doing some things that I suppose are the low-hanging fruit that we can really immediately get into. But there must be a lot more out there. And we really encourage your officers as you travel through the annual budget process to go, what other low-hanging fruit can we really grab hold of and demonstrate scale and urgency to this problem with immediacy? Part of that was also linking in bolder and more targeted and accelerated targets. So often with these plans, they're easy to write, they're easy to kind of put some targets in that are loose, but unless you are measuring your progress, you won't know whether you're keeping us to 1.5 degrees. So you've got to focus a lot more, I think, in this document on how do we monitor, how do we create some really solid targets and graduate those over 2, 3, 5, 10 years so we get to where we need to be as quickly as possible. I think the partnerships theme came through really strongly as well, and again, why we're here is partnering at all levels across the city in terms of climate change work, all communities, Māori, Pacifica, and there's a real emphasis in this document on those communities, and that came through really strongly. You need to keep those organisations, groups and people really involved as you take this forward. But probably where the key partnership effort needs to be is central government. And Auckland Council, frankly, in terms of local government across New Zealand, is uniquely placed to have those serious conversations one-on-one with the government about moving as quickly as possible down this climate change path. So I think your own advocacy, your ability as a council to really kind of step up and be at that level of central government needs to come through much more strongly in terms of the feedback that you've been given. The other, I think, real difficulty about climate change is it affects everything. It's all pervasive. Almost everything we do has an impact, so the integrated thinking needs to happen more, the systems thinking, the way in which behaviour over here affects behaviour over here needs to come through that document. And finally, I think another part of it is sometimes that's easier to do yourselves. So sometimes it's hard to get a whole community or whole region to think in an integrated systems way. But actually, if you look inside your own organisation, the Auckland Council itself, and the CCOs, that's where you can get that thinking happening far more rapidly because effectively you control it. So getting the CCOs to step up in terms of their corporate thinking about the way their staff operate, the way in which their systems work, the way in which they engage with climate change, and I think this document offers an opportunity to really push that a lot harder than perhaps it has at the moment. And finally, transport, excuse me, just for another 30 seconds, transport is where you can make a lot of difference. It's the sort of area where you have a lot, more control than other areas. But if we're going to get to our targets, we need to be really pulling down that transport emissions profile in a decade. We need to get to zero transport emissions really in a decade to make any sort of difference in terms of long term. Finally, the other thing I think just like to finish on and recommend to you is you declared a climate emergency, and we commended that and attended that meeting that Penny Holst chaired. It was a fantastic meeting, a lot of energy, a lot of really good spirit, and I'd say a very serious declaration that you all adopted. I think you need to rename this document as it travels through to being the climate emergency plan. Keep that word emergency in there. That's what we're in. It may feel like it's 10, 20 years off, but actually when you look at the way in which Northland is now coping with hardly any water, the way in which we've been largely in drought, the way in which Australia have suffered over summer, we are in the crisis, we're in the emergency. So I don't think it's wrong for you to relabel this as an emergency plan in that context. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your time, councillors.
Kia ora. Thank you, Dr. Grant. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry, Member Wilson.
Thank you. It's not a question as such as commentary in the affirmative, as in all the points that you hit. Just over 5 minutes were absolutely what was needed to be heard as we start our meeting. The points that I picked up, especially in around measurement, partnerships that you identified, central government, specifically, I'm talking about the ones that I'm specifically interested. I like the way that you talked about the integration, which is going to be key, and the systems thinking, which I also picked up, and then in the naming of it all. So there isn't anything there that I don't think is a good way forward for us all, and I appreciate very much that your thoughts can be brought in such a, this meeting will be a long meeting, but the way you brought those all together was very, very well done. Appreciate that.
Any other questions? Oh, we're very quiet today. Okay. Never say that. Thank you very much. Would someone like to move receiving the report? Councillor Bartley, Councillor Casey second, or did you? Right. And all those in favour, everyone? Against? No. Perfect. Thank you very much, and have a great day. You're welcome to stay for as long or as little as you'd like, but you're happy to have you here, so thank you. Next up, we have local board input, and as far as I know, there is still no local board